That there are certain confusion in the mind of the applicant, that if I am sending the resume or the CV to the employer, or then why do they need this cover letter? Because as we know that nowadays in many of the MNCs or in many of the companies, that they seek for this cover letter, that in this running world, in this competitive world, or in this fast world, that it may be possible that for the HR executive of that very company is not having so much time, that that executive will go through your resume or CV thoroughly, either it is of one page or two pages or more than two pages, or even it is of four or more than that. So in that case, they must, in the shortest span of time, to shortlist the candidate for the interview. I mean to say that is the valid reason, that is the main reason, because because of which they ask for the cover letter also. Now we are having the exam. We What I observe and what I think, that whenever we are going to apply, whenever we are going to send a resume, and along with the resume, if we are sending the cover letter, this cover letter basically gives the first impact, the first impression in front of the employer, before the employer, you can say. And if our cover letter is effective, then there is no doubt that you will definitely get an interview call. I am not talking about that you are going to get a job, but at least they will definitely call you for the interaction or for the interview. So by keeping in mind, or by keeping in mind about the interview, whenever we are writing the cover letter, there are some points through which we can go through. And if our cover letter is effective, then certainly you are going to get a call. That, for example, that if there is a question that what is a cover letter? A cover letter is a letter sent alongside your resume that I said you to introduce yourself, explain why you are sending in your resume, and provide more information about yourself. It means that if we are whatever the points, whatever the skills, whatever the knowledge, whatever the experience we have, know that we are explaining all these things, our qualification, either it is professional or even educational. We are sending all these things in our resume or in our CV by mentioning, by keeping or by putting it in our resume, or even you can say in the curriculum vitae. I mean to say CV, right? So here there is a question that if I am sending all the points in the resume, or even in the case of cover letter, mm, what are the things which are left that we can include in our cover letter, uh, and then what are the major points of the cover letter are like, first of all, you will have to introduce yourself. It means what to introduce yourself. That uh, basically what we do, that whenever we have to introduce ourselves, your introduction should not be general. It should be professional. By keeping in mind the profession for which you are going to apply, your introduction should be in that way. So that if your introduction is effective, you will be noticed in the eyes of the employer. Then you will have to convey that what is um, what is that thing which is different from others in you, which can be beneficial for the employer, that you will have to include in your, I mean to say, your cover letter. Then you will have to highlight your accomplishment. That accomplishment means till today, whatever you gain, whatever while doing your job, or by the help of your skills, by the help of your knowledge, what are the things that you accomplished. And then whatever the awards, whatever even the scholarship or anything else that which is a part of your resume, you can include those things also in your cover letter, but that should be in but that should be in brief. And we are having this style of this cover letter. The first one is block style, the second one is modified block style. That it means that in the case of block style, that whatever the sentences we are going to write, that must be left indented. Then it means that the margin should be in the left side. No indentation no indentations will be there in the case of block style. Second one is modified block style. It means we will have to include indentations in the case of modified block style. I am not saying that which of the particular block style you are going to follow. Even if you are going to follow block style, or even I can say that modified block style, both of the format, I mean to say they are, you can choose any one of them, either it is block style or even modified block style. The difference is that in the case of block style, whatever you are writing, that should not there should not be indentation, whereas in the case of modified block, each paragraph will be indented. Indented, I think that you all know the meaning of the term indented. For example, if you are typing in a laptop or in a computer, whenever we are going to change the paragraph, we just press in the first sentence, the mm, changing paragraph, we just press tab button once, and that first sentence of that particular paragraph becomes indented. It means it is a little bit indented towards right rather than left. Only the first sentence, that is called indentations. Next one is that while writing the cover letter, what are the points that we should focus? We should think while we are writing the cover letter. The first thing is that we should be assertive. It means that the first 20 words of your cover letter must be assertive. It means that assertive doesn't mean that mm, you can write, you can use any of the words to mm, uh, drag the intention of the reader of that very cover letter. Rather than you will have to include such points, such of the things, such of the words which will automatically drag the intention of the employer or intention, which will, I mean to say, attract the intention of the reader of the cover letter towards you. Second, then after you will have to think about the value to employer. It means in the case of value to employer, you can use that about the reputation of the employer, that why this MNC is so much reputed, and how much you are valuing, or what are the values that you are giving for, what are the values of that very employer to you, even you are an applicant for that very employer. Next one is that let your letter reflect your individuality. Here is reflect your individuality. Individuality is very much important. How it is very much important that mm, I am to say that whenever we are going to, whenever we are going to apply for any of the posts in any of the MNCs or any of the organizations, no doubt there will be so many applicants. For each of the applicants, they must have some individuality. Individuality means not as an individual. It means that you must have some quality, peculiar quality which can be beneficial for that very employer. That you will have to represent, that you will have to reflect in your cover letter. That how that very peculiar, that very extra important uh, quality which is in you, how it is beneficial for the organization or for the employer. Then you will have to like if you know, next one is that if you are aware about the name of the HR executive, you can write down the name of that very executive. Then the whatever the name you are writing, the spelling must be correct. And whenever we are writing a letter, we know it very well that whatever the salutation and after the salutation we are using, that should be friendly, that should be effective. And last one is the target your letter. Whenever we are since our childhood, as we know that during our school life, I'm not talking about the letter, I'm talking about the application. In our school life, when we are writing an application, no doubt, mm, I think that the maximum of the students, when they are writing the application, they usually what they do is start to write the most humbly and respectfully. I get to say that again, whatever they want, the reason behind the writing the application, they mention that because of the headache, because of the fever, I seek leave, and whatever was that at the end, I shall be obliged to you. I shall be I shall be very much grateful to you. So, what I want to say that whenever we are writing this cover letter, we must have a target. It means why we are writing a cover letter to get a job, to get an interview call, and through this cover letter, uh, if you are not able to give that impression before the reader of the cover letter or before the HR team or before the you can say employer, in that case we'll definitely not get interview call. So in this case, whatever the points, whatever the words we are using, since the beginning to the end, first and foremost thing is that we should be polite by using our words. Whenever we are using our words in our sentences, we should be practical, we should be objective, not subjective. Uh, no doubt we should also represent individuality while we are writing the cover letter. It means that overall, whenever we are designing the cover letter, whatever the target of writing a cover letter is, that should be achieved whenever we are writing it. So our main target by writing this cover letter is just to get an interview call, and by keeping in mind that particular point that anyhow I have to get this interview call, we can just develop this cover letter. So there are so many points that we have discussed. Next thing is that we shouldn't forget that whatever the grammar we are using, whatever the spelling we are using, that must be correct. We should avoid slangs. Slangs, I think you all know the slangs. We should be brief, but cover the subject. We should be brief. We should be brief means there is no need to just write the same content, write the same theme by using more number of words. We can do it by using less number of words. So it means that we should try to use simple sentence rather than complex one. And by brief doesn't mean that we are going to leave any of the important points. We will have to take all the important points, but that should be brief. Stick to the point of the letter. It means that whatever the target we have, we should stick toward that. Proofread, proofread, proofread. It means after writing the cover letter, we'll have to go through the proofreading 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times for our cover letter. And if you need any help from your seniors, from your teachers, or any of your friends, you should definitely ask for the help. That's right, for neatness and personality. So whatever the words, whatever the sentences, because in the cover letter we will not be physically present. Whatever the words we are going to use, whatever the sentences we are going to use, those sentences, those words will definitely represent us before the employer. So by using these words, by using those sentences, or the way we are writing the cover letter, that should be neat. Neat